Many family members of the Earls of Mar, and later Kellie, have been interred in the family mausoleum in the old kirkyard in Alloa. The mausoleum had been designed by architect James Gillespie Graham and built in 1819 using stones from the nave of the former St Mungo's Church, the old Alloa parish church. It's situated on the site of the former western aisle, known as the Mar Aisle. Its ceiling was originally decorated with painted flowers, and its walls were plastered. In 1709, two identical oval marble monuments were erected by John Erskine, 6th Earl of Mar, one to commemorate his wife, Lady Margaret Hay, and a son who died in infancy, and the other, his father and 3 brothers, who died in childhood. They're Baroque in style, and decorated with cherubs' heads, and surmounted by a coat of arms. They're believed to have been in the old kirk. There are also memorials to John, 1st Earl of Mar, who died in 1572, and his wife Annabel Murray, who died around 1602. Her 1602 will is held at the National Library in Edinburgh, but it's unclear whether she died that year or the following one. In December 1853, the Countess of Mar and Kellie, Philadelphia Stuart Monteith, the wife of John Miller Francis Erskine, died at Alloa House aged 59 and was interred in the mausoleum on Thursday 22nd December. On 19th June 1866, John, her husband, died, aged 70, and was also buried there. In 1885, improvements were carried out, including the interior being painted and the outer door being opened, with inner wire doors being hung to let the air circulate. Sculptor James Robertson of Alloa was commissioned by the Earl to erect 3 marble tablets, one immediately above the doorway and one on each side of the walls. The largest one was the one above the door, which memorialised John, 2nd Earl of Mar, who was buried at Dryborough Abbey in the Scottish borders. On the right, the smaller slab was dedicated to Mary, 3rd daughter of Walter Henry, and Mary Ann, his wife, born 27th February and died 26th April 1873, at just 2 months old. The other tablet, placed on the left, was for Harriet Susanna Erskine, wife of Augustus William, who died on 24th February 1884, as well as their infant son, William Forbes. In 1891, it was painted, which allowed the building to be used for services and funerals, should the family wish to do so. In 1892, the mausoleum had further work carried out, with alterations being made, including a new reredos, designed by C.E. Kemp of London, which surmounted the newly constructed altar, made of dark olive green panels, carved and elaborately decorated in black and pale green, picked out with red. It was headed by the text, Miserere nostri Domini, have mercy on us. A crucifix stood in front of this, commissioned by the 11th Earl's 7 younger children, although Lady Elaine Erskine died before the work was completed. She was buried in the mausoleum in 1891. On a gilt plate on the back was inscribed, "In loving memory of their father, Walter Henry, 11th Earl of Mar and 13th Earl of Kellie. His younger children, Elaine, Eustace, William, Louisa, Francis, Maud, and Alexander Erskine, have caused this symbol of salvation to be here dedicated. His memorial slab is on the wall, he having died on 16 September 1888, aged 48. What became of the cross is unknown. The 81-year-old Dowager Countess of Mar and Kellie, Elise Youngson, was buried in the family vault on 18th July 1895, and in 1927, Mary Ann Forbes, the then Dowager Countess of Mar and Kellie, was interred there following her death on 22nd May. In 1938, the ashes of Lady Susan Violet Erskine, known as Violet, Countess of Mar and Kellie, were interred there following her death at Alloa House on 16th December, aged 70. Other memorials include one for John Francis Ashley, Lord Erskine, who died 3rd May 1953, aged 58, and the sad memorial to Elaine Violet, daughter of Walter John Francis, the 12th Earl, and his wife Violet, who lived just for a day in August 1893. Some of the memorials are in Latin, while others are difficult to read due to age. The Mar and Kellie Mausoleum was restored in the mid-1990s, following some time of neglect, due to lack of funds. The roof was failing, and it had become very damp inside. The Earl's father had recently died, and had set aside £21,000 for its restoration. The then Clackmannanshire District Council put more than £15,000 towards it, and Central Regional Council donated £6,000. Historic Scotland, now Historic Environment Scotland, made the biggest contribution of £41,000. The money was used to restore the crumbling flower-painted plaster ceiling and fit a new roof and replace the doors and fix the windows. The original doors can still be seen inside the building. The glass was taken out of the windows, which were broken, and replaced by mesh to allow it to dry out, but it does mean that it's cold inside. This was around the same time Alloa Tower was being restored. It's believed the altar that is seen today may have been put in the 1990s, or possibly earlier. The walls weren't replastered, as it was felt it wouldn't let the walls dry out, which is why the memorials stand proud of the walls. Not all of the family are buried there. Just outside the mausoleum is a grave for Walter Coningsby Erskine and his family members, including his father, but they were later moved into the mausoleum. The most famous family member buried there was John Erskine, 6th Earl of Mar, also known as Bobbing John due to his scoliosis, who was brought back to Scotland from France, where he was in exile following the Jacobite uprising of 1715. He was buried under the aisle in the medieval chancel, many years before the mausoleum was built. Originally, he wanted to have a grand new church built and an obelisk to mark his grave, but the family decided against it. During the early 1970s, a lead coffin was stolen and a hole was left in the floor. The mausoleum also suffered from other forms of vandalism over the years, such as broken windows. The current Earl of Mar, James Thorne Erskine, known as Jamie Erskine, has stated he has no desire to be buried within the family vault. The ashes of his mother, Pansy Constance Thorne, who died on 9th August 1996, aged 74, were interred here, and she may be the last Erskine to be buried in the mausoleum. His father, John Francis Hervey Erskine, died on 22nd December 1993, aged 72, with Earl of Mar Court in Alloa being named in his honour. The 3 coats of arms lying in the building were taken from Alloa House, which was built in the 1830s but abandoned in 1955 and completely demolished by 1959. One of the coats of arms was put onto a block of red brick flats in Kilncraigs Road, which were built very near to the site of the old house. Today, the mausoleum is only open to the public on doors open days. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.